Britain was about to fall. Enemy bombers were already in the sky. Airfields were being destroyed. Cities were burning. And if the Royal Air Force failed, there would be nothing left to stop an invasion. And then, this plane showed up. The Supermarine Spitfire. Fast, agile, and suddenly, the fight wasn't one-sided anymore. Because in the summer of 1940, this aircraft became the difference between survival and defeat. So how did the Spitfire change everything? Because at the time, Germany's Luftwaffe was dominating Europe. Country after country had fallen, and Britain was next. To invade, Germany needed control of the skies, which meant destroying the Royal Air Force, airfields, radar stations, fighter aircraft, everything. And for weeks, the skies over Britain became a battlefield. Constant attacks, endless waves of bombers, escorted by fighters. And this is where things became critical, because the RAF didn't have unlimited resources. Pilots were exhausted, aircraft were being lost. And every day, the pressure increased. But every time those bombers crossed the coast, the Spitfire was there to meet them. And this is where it gets interesting. Because the Spitfire wasn't just another fighter, it was built differently. Its elliptical wings weren't just for looks, they gave it exceptional performance. Smooth airflow, tighter turns, better control at high speed, which meant in a dogfight, it had a real advantage, and that mattered. Because when Spitfires engaged enemy fighters, they could outmaneuver them, stay on their tail, and turn the fight in their favor. But here's the part most people don't realize. The Spitfire didn't fight alone, it was part of a system. Radar stations along the coast, detecting incoming raids. Ground controllers directing pilots, exactly where they needed to be, which meant the Spitfire wasn't searching for the enemy. It was already in position when the battle began. And that changed everything, because now, the RAF could respond faster, intercept earlier, and fight smarter. But the situation was still brutal. Dogfights over the English countryside, bombers dropping payloads on cities, pilots scrambling multiple times a day, and losses on both sides. And this is where it gets even more intense. Because for the pilots, there was no reset, no break, just mission after mission, each one just as dangerous as the last. And yet, they kept going, because they had to. Because if they didn't, there was nothing behind them. No backup, no second line, just the country itself. And this is what makes the Spitfire legendary. It wasn't invincible, it wasn't unstoppable, but it was exactly what was needed, at exactly the right time. And over time, the balance began to shift, because the Luftwaffe couldn't sustain the losses, and Britain didn't fall. And this is where everything changes, because once the invasion was delayed, once the skies were contested, the momentum was broken, and the Spitfire played a major role in that. Not alone, but as part of a system that held the line. And that's why this aircraft is remembered the way it is. Not just for how it looked, or how it performed, but for what it represented. Because in one of the most critical moments of the war, when everything was at risk, this aircraft helped keep Britain in the fight. And that changed history, because without it, the outcome might have been very different. And even today, the Spitfire isn't just seen as a fighter aircraft. It's seen as a symbol of resistance, of survival, and of a moment when everything could have gone the other way, but didn't. If you enjoy content like this and want to see more deep dives into legendary aircraft, make sure to like the video and subscribe, because there's a lot more to uncover.